Whereas if you are more exteroceptively focused at any given moment, well, then I encourage you to do an interoceptively focused meditation practice. And as I mentioned earlier, there's this issue of how long to do a practice. There are a lot of different data on these, but some of the practices we've covered on this podcast before when we had guests, for instance, highlighted the 13-minute meditation that Dr. Wendy Suzuki from New York University's laboratory has popularized, and they popularized it because they have a wonderful paper that we will provide a link to, which shows that a daily 13-minute meditation, which is of the traditional third eye, interoceptively biased, focus on breathing and focus on that location directly behind one's forehead or both, that meditation done daily for about 8 weeks, maybe shorter, but in that study, 8 weeks, greatly improved mood, improved ability to sleep, improved cognitive ability and focus, memory. A huge number of metrics were looked at very specifically. So that's a terrific one. And you may be asking yourself, do you need to do the full 13 minutes? Could you get away with 5 minutes or 3 minutes? Well, my laboratory has shown benefits in stress reduction, improvement in sleep, etc., with a 5-minute a day meditation. However, in trying to establish how long you should meditate, I would ask yourself a couple of questions. First of all, what is a practice that you can do consistently? And by consistently, that doesn't necessarily mean every day. If you answer the question about consistency honestly, and you find that you can only do one meditation session per week, well, then I would encourage you to go a little bit longer, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes. Again, understanding that you're going to have to refocus repeatedly throughout that meditation, regardless of whether or not you're focusing on internal perceptions or external perceptions. If, however, you can set aside 5 or 10 or 15 minutes per day, and you can meditate every day, well, then I think you have a little bit more flexibility in terms of how long you meditate. Maybe it's 3 minutes one day, 1 minute the next day, 10 minutes the next, and so on and so forth. Just like with exercise, the key component is consistency. And this is borne out in all the data that's covered in Altered Traits. It's also borne out in all the recent studies that have come out since that book was published. Consistency is key. So ask yourself what you can do consistently, and also don't necessarily burden yourself with always having to do the same amount or duration of meditation. Now, that's not to say that cyclic hyperventilation can't be incorporated into a meditation practice, but Wim Hof breathing, aka cyclic hyperventilation TUMO, is typically considered its own practice. Okay, its own breathwork practice, divorced from meditation. It might have a meditative component, but it's not often discussed as meditation or as part of meditation. More typically, a meditation practice involves slowing one's breathing, and this could be in the form of cyclic breathing of inhale, exhale, which is cyclic, or in some cases, doubling up on inhales and then exhaling.